What's up, guys, and welcome back to another Trailblazer video. It's actually been a few days, and that was due to the launch of Call of Duty Cold War. But have no fear, because the Trailblazer videos will not be stopping, and the progress has not stopped either. But as you can tell, we're actually not logged on to a Trailblazer world, and that's because today's video, we will require going to every single region, because we are going to showcase the best moneymaker within each region in Trailblazer. And this video is going to be a little different because we're not necessarily going to be doing the best GP an hour, because in Trailblazer we are Ironmen. Therefore, we are going to be focusing on the best cash per hour based on either AUX or GP drops, but mostly what we can get pure cash out of, not necessarily bank value. And if you didn't already know, first up we are going to be doing Morytania, and we are at the Slayer Tower, because the best moneymaker that we are going to be deciding in Morytania is Gargoyles. Gargoyles are incredibly consistent money in either forms of pure cash drops with their 10k drop, or mostly rune alchables. We'll go ahead and jump over to the wiki article, and you can just see all of the alch drops on this table. The Mystic top for 72k, but that's one of the rares. Incredibly common drops you can expect multiple of are Rune Plates, Rune Battle Axe, Rune 2H, Rune Full Helms. Just look at all of those out values. Gargoyles are just ridiculously consistent money. Not to mention they also drop smithing supplies, which are just a bonus in addition to the money they have. And while TOB, as you can see with these AUK values over here, might technically be better GP an hour because of how common they are, and you can necessarily AUK them for a big chunk of change, I didn't feel like that was really fitting for this video in terms of consistent money makers, especially considering TOB some of the hardest content in the game. Next area we are going to be discussing is the Fremennik area, and the best money maker in Fremennik is Vorkath. And this slightly goes against what I said in the previous clip about bosses, but Vorkath is much easier to kill, takes far less time, and is also much easier to learn. And they used to call Zora the Money Snake, and you might as well call Vorkath the Money Dragon, because it took its title for best moneymaker in the game. If we go ahead and pull up its drops, this thing drops everything from AUX, runes, crafting supplies, bolt tips, farming seeds, as well as a bunch of miscellaneous items like wood cutting logs, mana rays, dragon bones, and purely just cash stacks of anything from 20 to 80k. Killing this thing in Trailblazer will literally load you with endless supplies and numerous different skills, plus a bunch of pure cash. I mean, there's a common drop of getting 3 rune kite shields, which you can then AUK for like 98k. That is just insane money in a boss that you can probably kill in an average of a minute with terrible gear considering the relics we have. All around, Vorkath is just a no-brainer on this list, considering it has consistent cash per hour as well as endless other supplies. Next area is going to be the Kingdom of Asgarnia, and for this region, our best moneymaker is Skeletal Wyverns. One important thing to note is these do require 72 Slayer, but with multiplied XP rates, that is way easier to get than it may seem. And I believe these were actually one of the very first Slayer monsters that ever had a drop table buff, and if we go ahead and pull it up, they have plenty of alchables in terms of rune and some battle stabs. These can be a great source of getting battle stabs in order to train some crafting, and then in turn AUK them for I think 9.3k each. Kind of a double whammy of training and making money. Not to mention getting some dragon plate legs, and these honestly might be an even better source of getting plate legs than iron drags if you don't have access to anti-fires. Not to mention they have a decent variety of rune drops, as well as they could be a great source of bolts or herbs, and also a common drop of 35 noted magic logs, and if you do have high enough fletching, those will be some very good AUKs if you turn them into longbows. And for our next area, we have everybody's favorite region, the Caridian Desert. And I'm not going to lie, this one was incredibly difficult, and we're technically going to kind of bend the rules because there is going to be 2 methods for the desert in terms of your best moneymakers. For high levels, we are going with the Cowfight Queen, whereas for low or medium tier players, you are going for the Agility Pyramid, which only requires 30 agility to access, and with each completion, once obtaining the pyramid, you can exchange it for 10k cash. Ultimately, depending on the regions you've chose, there is a very good chance that neither of these methods are going to be worth your time in comparison to a moneymaker in a different region. Unless you really like doing KQ or you really want the pet, I can't imagine this is going to be the best available moneymaker for you. Same thing goes for the agility pyramid. Although the agility pyramid may be a very good start in terms of early game money if you are a late starter, both of these methods will net you over 100k per hour in terms of pure cash, whereas KQ has some other drops that may be of benefit as well. Honestly, it has some decent drops in terms of skilling supplies, from buckets of sand to high-level tree seeds, wines of Zami, potato cactus. One of the greatest advantages of KQ isn't necessarily even the GP an hour that you'll receive from it. It's some of the secondaries that are going to be incredibly useful, especially if you didn't choose Botanist and you need a high supply in each of them. But apart from that, there really isn't too much more to mention. In my opinion, KQ is an annoying boss that I would much rather not spend any time at, even if I had the desert unlocked. But that's basically it in terms of the desert, and in my opinion, it is no better now than I originally thought it was going to be in the beginning. Apart from Ancients, and maybe if you honestly love doing KQ, this area is just not all that hot. I guess that was kind of a pun I didn't intend for. For our next region, we have Tirannwn, and this one's kind of up for grabs along with the desert, except both of these methods are competing for which one's better, not necessarily which one's worse. And that is Zulrah and the Gauntlet. Honestly, in terms of pure cash, the Gauntlet I think is out and by far the best. The only reason I'm mentioning Zulrah as an honorable mention is because it just drops an absolute boatload of supplies in a massive variety. Not to mention, you're going to have to do both of them anyway, necessarily, for all of the potential points in Prif. But if you just need pure cash, the Gauntlet is the way to go. If we go ahead and pull up the drop table, the most common drops are literally just noted drops of rune armor, a dragon halley, big stacks of runes, arrows, gems, more battle staffs, pure cash. Of course, this is the corrupted version of the Gauntlet, because it is much better money, and honestly, Zulrah is probably better than the original Gauntlet if we put that into perspective. If you can do Corrupted, I would honestly recommend Zulrah. But considering a minigame that you don't even have to have a single item to take into it, the Gauntlet is just a pure moneymaker. Next up, we have the Kingdom of Kandarin, which is arguably the best region in the entire league, just due to the vast amount of content it has. And we're going to start this region off with our honorable mention, which is pickpocketing RD Knights. This is a very consistent and good moneymaker for players who despise PVM. And in terms of non-PVM moneymakers, I would consider this probably best, if not top 3, easily in the game. Just get yourself a rogue's outfit if you do have that region unlocked. Make yourself some dodgy necklaces and go to work. Depending on your thieving level, I know these can make upwards of 200k GP an hour with not too much effort at all. But now moving on to the best moneymaker in Kandarin. In my opinion, we are going with Demonic Gorillas. Not only do Demonic Gorillas drop the Zenite shards in order to make Zenite jewelry, but they also drop a consistent flow of rune items, along with javelin heads that out for a very good amount of money. And those are just a few of the good moneymaker drops on their table. There's also basic coin drops, runite bolts, and big stacks that are very easily sellable to the general stores. These things are all around just a great NPC to kill, from Zenite jewelry potential to alch money, all the way into high-level seeds. Demonics are a great way to go, and will make you some very good and very consistent money. And last but not least, our final region of the video is the Wilderness. And I'm not going to lie, the Wildy is basically home to countless ways to make money. From different skilling methods to any of the bosses, the Wilderness is home to plenty of different methods in order to make you some solid GP in Trailblazer. The one we are going to be highlighting is probably the best GP in Trailblazer per hour in the entire game, regardless of region, and that is Revenants. If you didn't know, the Revenant drop table and the caves were changed. Not only is there a single plus method introduced, but they also are all spread out meaning they are all around this cave in different areas. While this is an amazing feature in the main game, PKing doesn't seem too much of a factor in Trailblazer as of what I've noticed. So you shouldn't have too much of a problem, not to mention even if you do die, you keep all of your stuff anyway and it's treated as a PVM death. But revs are just a constant stream of GP. Let's go ahead and just pull up one of their drop tables. Okay, the one I decided to pull up was the Dark Beast. It isn't the highest level, but it's up there. It's definitely killable for most people with these relics. Just look at all of these alkables. It's just going to be pouring money into your inventory. Not to mention a bunch of skilling supplies, as well as you come down here and there's even some onyx bolt tips, some Laron's keys that you'll be able to loot as well. The wilderness is just plain and simple the best way to make money in Trailblazer. If you do have this region, this is definitely where you want to be if you're trying to get some GP. Besides all of those original drops, you also have access to this little ancient statues table, and what those are is they can essentially be turned in for straight cash. And while these drop rates may seem incredibly rare, with one of the final relics you can get up to 3x more common. Meaning this ancient totem right here, which is the second most common, would be roughly like 1 in 800. Or a little less than that, to be honest, and it can be turned in straight for 1 mil cash. Honestly, absolutely unreal, and just puts into perspective how strong the wildy can be in terms of making money. But that will do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed or you found it helpful. If you did, consider dropping a like or subscribing if you're new or you haven't already. Both of which massively help out the channel. Thank you guys for all of the support recently with Trailblazer League. Hopefully you guys can make some seriously good money regardless of whichever region you chose or whichever method you want to do. With that said, in the next few days, I'm actually going to be having a video coming out that will highlight some of the best ways to use your money in Trailblazer League as an Iron Man if you have accumulated a cash stack already. But I will leave you guys there. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope I see you in a future upload. Peace.